Hi Fem Founders, hi, this is Gia. I always feel so good about posting video with no makeup on. It just feels so refreshing and it's so relaxing. I'm currently recovering from surgery. That's also why I'm standing up. Anyway, just as a disclaimer, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a clinical psychologist expert. So I am just a person who has actually experienced this and maybe has experienced something similar to what you are currently going through or what you have been through before or what you're on and off fighting with. You can't get rid of anorexia because it's not like something you throw away. Life is an ever flux journey so that you're always constantly evolving. It's something that you move on from or move on without. And if you have anything to add to that, you can put your input in the comments below. First things first, I was anorexic for 9 years and it's not something I ever talked about. I've only told like 2 people this really because I noticed that when I talked with people about this, they weren't like moved like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. They were just like, that sucks kind of thing, because they couldn't relate and they couldn't personify what it meant. Their relationship with food is completely different, or their relationship with their body is different, or they just grew up in a different country, or their culture or their generation, whatever it may be that's conducive to their understanding of what anorexia is. And they didn't even know like the difference between anorexia and bulimia and all that. And so anorexia is just when you don't eat. Bulimia is when you vomit, make yourself vomit after eating if you do eat. And then there's also binge eating. So like I was in a lot of groups with anorexic, bulimic, and binge eaters, and all of these, there's like orthorexic eaters. Orthorexic people are people who are like, I can only eat this, and this, or I can't have any of this, and this food. And a lot of people are like that, especially in Los Angeles. It doesn't make sense to be bulimic either because you're hurting yourself in the long run, and you actually can gain more weight being bulimic in the future because your body is squeezing so tight to the nutrients that it does have. And usually if you do vomit, or you only vomit 50% of what your body hasn't already taken, of what you've already eaten. From my personal understanding, the thing is, you will never know who these people are. You will never know who an anorexic person is because sometimes they don't look stick thin. Sometimes they look overweight. Sometimes they look just like a regular person. They talk like you and me. Like nobody knows that you don't eat. Like the person who was like on to me was my dad. My dad knew because he would receive a bill from the insurance, and I moved out when I was 18, so I was long moved out. He would receive a bill from the insurance saying that like I was hospitalized or I fainted or got like an ambulance bill, whatever it may be. He would call and ask, did you eat this week? Do you have money for groceries? You're not alone. I read Ashley Graham's book. I have a book review of it below linked. She was talking about how she felt overweight. She mentions in the book a few times where there are these key moments that she felt especially overweight. I was never really fat growing up. Looked at pictures now and I was actually stick thin, yet people still told me that I was overweight or I was chubby when I hit puberty. My body, I was like 96 pounds. Till today, I'm 100 pounds with clothes on, 100 pounds even. Overweight people, I could always relate to them. First off, it's finding the source of the problem. I think anorexia is a reaction to something personally, but this is how I sort of came to terms and realized what it was. And it took me years, and the reason why was that I was growing up with a lot of abuse from my parents. Abuse comes in all shapes and sizes, and I was very, very, very physically abused growing up and very mentally abused on top of that. I think mental abuse takes it a step further, where there are a lot of cultures where people hit their kids if they're out of line, which I understand. Like, I'm not going to ever come in between your parenting. I was also very surprised growing up because I thought it was very normal for people to hit their kids. My dad was like the sweetest person, the sweetest dad. And like growing up, he would give you the shirt off his back. He treated every waiter, every mechanic, and would make jokes and make their day. My stepmom, however, was another story. She would always like hit me growing up a lot. Everything I did was wrong. Even if I did something good, it was wrong or it wasn't good enough. She would like physically abuse me. Like I would come to school with like bandages on my face. I still have a scar that my dermatologist and facialist like do damage control over. My nose was broken. It was a horrible setup as a childhood. The only control I had was my body. Like I couldn't control my clothes because I got my stepbrother's hand-me-downs. He was the favorite. I think it's because he looked more white. I hate like doing the race card. I hate saying this, but the white privilege thing. He was so like more Caucasian, not like skin tone, because like my skin tone was lighter than his growing up. I got his hand-me-downs, and like anytime I wore his clothes, because they were huge. He was 4 years older than me and a guy, so they were huge and baggy, huge clothes that just were not flattering to my body, and I have a very specific body type. People said that I was overweight for a very long time, even though I wasn't. It wasn't until I moved out that people saw me for like, oh, she's actually a stick. That was like the source of my issue. How I overcame it wasn't by confronting those people. Like, I've tried confronting those people. I got nothing back. Like, my brother called me fat every single day, even though I wasn't. He called me ugly every single day. I'm none of those things. You know, when you're not stupid and someone calls you stupid and you're like, you know you're not. Or if like someone says the sky is green, you're like, what are you saying? Like, it's you just like brush it off. When you're like impressionable as a kid or a young person, crucially developmental time, it changes the way you see the world. So when you find your source of your pain or your issue or your problem or your trauma, whatever it may be, you have to see like how you can get over it. And one way that I did was social media. Social media made me feel extremely beautiful. Like, I have been told growing up, when someone says like, your legs look like they go on forever in this photo, something silly like that, that's positive to me. So like, photos really help me, like taking pictures outside in a cute outfit, or when people say they love my style or something, it makes me feel great about myself. For every 1,000 positive comments, I get one negative one, and it really ruins my day. So just like, avoid it. Social media, some people absolutely love it, and I think it's absolutely changing today. People try to create social media to get away from society's media that we have today. It ended up turning into the regular media all over again. It truly can be an escape. Social media used to be like a bunch of Instagram models on jets where they make you feel like you're missing out. Now it's more like people who are relatable and finding their community and kind of banding together. They say, I'm struggling with anxiety or PCOS and this is what I'm going through. And other people follow it and like, here are ways to feel positive today about this, this, and this. And it's a wonderful way to connect with people, find support. People misjudge this one. It's journaling. Journaling really does help to get your thoughts out of your head. I don't think that you should include other people in your solutions all the time because they're not always going to react how you want them to react. You have no control over other people, but you do have control over your thoughts and where to put them. And one place is in your journal, and you can put them in a place that nobody else can ever find them. My journal is mine, and your journal will never betray you as long as nobody finds it. Just get your thoughts out. Later when you read them, you think, wow, I was in a really positive place, or I really wasn't in a positive place. Also, another plan of action would be finding highly nutritious foods. A lot of people just tell anorexic people, oh, you just eat. Grew up with they kind of educated us on like, here are the important 5 food groups that you need to know, but they didn't say like specifically as a woman with like cycle syncing and hormones, and there are many lifetime studies on men and not enough on women. It's only been since the 80s, and that's recent. What I do is avoid counting calories at all. I used to count calories to lose weight when I didn't need to lose weight. This makes you more aware of your anorexia. What I would just focus on is finding highly nutrient dense foods. Instead of just eating white bread, find bread with a ton of grain in it. A potato, find a sweet potato. It's got so many benefits. White rice, find wild rice. There are so many things that you can replace in your diet. Peas are actually carbs. Banana is actually carbs, but they're classified as fruit and veg. Get educated, go on the internet, just search highly nutritious foods or nutrient dense foods. Actually get a lot of nutrients from what you're eating. Don't gain weight. A lot of people make the mistake of like eating vegetables and they still gain a ton of weight. I don't believe that you should forego carbs. Personally, I'm not a nutritionist. I believe that you should prohibit yourself of anything. If you feel full, just stop eating. And another way that helps feel full or realize if you're full, eat a little bit off your plate, drink water, and then eat a little bit off your plate and then drink water. Liquid makes you feel full instantly, and they did a test on, I think it was like British military. They had like a turkey dinner with peas, carrots, all of this wonderful potatoes and all this festive meal. They put it in a blender, and then they had like the regular meal on a dish, and they had like some soldiers eat just off the dish, and then some soldiers eat it in a smoothie form. The soldiers who ate it in a smoothie form lasted like 5 hours fuller, felt full. Make sure that you're drinking water too, and not sugary drinks. I know someone who drinks sugary drinks with every single meal they have instead of water. They're struggling with constipation, and yeah, it's because you don't drink any water. Also, a misunderstanding of a campaign that there is water in food. There was like this big campaign for like some water company that they're saying drink 8 glasses a day of water, so they were trying to sell more water. It doesn't work for everybody. They say to drink half your body weight in whatever your weight is in ounces, which is insane, because if I drank half my body weight, my belly would be this big. I would be running to the bathroom all day. If you think like you're not drinking enough water, you're probably not drinking enough water. If you feel dehydrated, you're past the point of not drinking enough water. If your lips are dry, drink water. There's a lot of things that are telling you, if you feel full, like don't push yourself. Try to find why you're like overeating, if you are overeating, if you're you're like binge eating, you can get your body started on a good note if you write everything down that you're eating to make sure that you are eating. Or if you're trying to think like, oh, did I have enough protein today? Find the formula that works for you. Nutrition is a very open-ended science. For many centuries, they haven't exactly hit the head on the answer is to everything for every single person. It's very individual. You can eventually get into the habit of eating, like in the habit of it, that you don't even need to write it down anymore. So you can see your body in a positive light. You're not really like gaining weight because you're not eating trans fats, all this junk food. There is something that Marie Antoinette said that I love. If the dessert is not extraordinary, don't go for it. When I am craving something specific like Nutella, that's just an example. If I don't have any Nutella in the house or any cake or pastry, I love cake, I will find like 9 other things and chew on those other things and eat them instead and find myself full and overweight and feeling bad about myself. If I just had eaten 1 tablespoon of Nutella, just indulge. When you want to indulge. I enjoy it when I do have it. I'm not like replacing it with 10 other things and then feeling bad about myself. I hope this helps with just getting started on getting on the right track, right mindset, because people just are very misunderstanding. It's like, where do I start? How do I start? This can also be common with men too. I know this because my husband told me it wasn't just like about his looks, how he had control over his body. Growing up was depriving him of a lot of different kinds of foods. Try everything on your plate. If you don't like it, you don't have to finish it, because you're learning, you're growing, you're finding what's good for yourself, and it's important to live a real healthy life, like a life that where you can enjoy it, where you don't have to think about, I look like this today, or I think this bad about myself today, I'm too this, I'm too that. Even more people live with anorexia, and the thing is, like, nobody knows that they are. People who have died of anorexia have already failed. They didn't beat it. People who live with anorexia still have the chance to, and they're not taking that chance. You got to do something about it. I wish you well, and I feel for you. Sorry. It's hard, but you can do it.